treating it like a threat. And one of the things that can't be attacked is your self-custody Bitcoin. And one of the things that can be attacked is the ETF. You can't be exposed to that. That's my view. It's not a good idea. And by the way, that'll hit MSTR too. It'll probably hit other stuff as well.
Friends and enemies, welcome back. Canadian Bitcoiners podcast.
Friends and enemies, welcome to the CBP. Wanna be better informed? Listen to Len and Joey. Sponsors taken care of right off the top. Bull Bitcoin and easy DNS. The media is feeding the slop. It doesn't matter what topics discussed. Quality entertainment and information you can trust.
That's being planned or at least discussed. You know, we're not going to allow
quality
people to buy
entertainment and information you can trust. Send the guy some value, boost them with some stats. Bitcoin is a scarcity asset. I mean, it's just a fact. Geopolitical, national, down to the local cloud.
Friends and enemies. Trump administration making a play on privacy, maybe. The Patriot Act for digital assets. We'll talk about that tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about Charlie Kirk. And, of course, the now famous or infamous line, I don't know, Hamilton man versus Brampton man. What's going on? How the heck are you doing?
Yeah, I got another one of those, Joey, because people seem to love that segment of the show. And this weekend, I think it's going to be a good one. You probably guess it right off the bat, just given the contestants. But still, the two stories, I think they're pretty darn good. And it probably highlights exactly what's going on in more so one of the two cities.
Okay.
You can probably guess which one of the two.
I'm positive I can. Yeah.
Right? Like, you don't have, do I have to go any further? I can just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
That city just keeps, it's a gold mine, right?
And you know, keeps on giving. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we have like, well, what can I say? Even there was another, like, I'm not sure who the heck was the culprit, but apparently a 74-year-old dude was run down a few people on the sidewalk yesterday afternoon.
Just saw.
And I don't know exactly who is behind the wheel.
I mean, the guy's name, it's like I thought I just saw it on Twitter like an hour ago.
Is it similar to others, or
I think it's not 100%, but I think it's definitely possible that it's part of our favorite demographic here. Our content continues to roll on because of people like this. So I don't want to jinx it, but I think it is that guy. Obviously, we wish these people who passed away the best.
I tried.
Yeah, I just saw it. I happened to see it on Twitter. I mean, obviously, Twitter knows what I like. It feeds me the same stuff every time. So yeah, nothing new there. Let's talk about the sponsors. Easy DNS, the best place for you to basically do everything. Like, what does Mark not do? He will host your website for you. He just actually tweeted about how it doesn't matter what political stripe you are, just because the teams seem to have changed priorities. He's still not going to take anyone down. He's got all the Bitcoin stuff you need with the virtual private server options, Bitcoin nodes, Nostr relays, you name it, you can do it there. And maybe most importantly, Len, Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Yeah, he takes Bitcoin for his services as well. For a couple extra bucks, you get extra security, domain share, easy mail, among other things. There's always people looking to grab your data, grab your customers' data. Why would you let them? Just use Mark and do it properly. Do it securely like we do. And you'll be happier that way. And you'll be glad you did. So go there, use the promo code CBP Media, get 50% off your first round of buys.
Didn't Trump famously say one time, grab him by the domain name?
He did say that. When you're a star, they just let you grab them by the domain name.
Yeah. So don't get trumped. Don't get your domain name grabbed. It touched me, and I can't tell you where. We got another sponsor, and that's Bull Bitcoin, and where you could exchange like one of these. This is a Singapore, but imagine the Canadian version, even Mexican pesos, euros, a bunch of others. You could exchange that for Bitcoin, right? Like, that's what people want. People want Bitcoin, not this. But I do like this, by the way. Thank you very much to Wedge for the Singapore dollar. Bull Bitcoin, non-custodial. This is what you want in exchange. When you make your Bitcoin buy, you cannot finalize it without providing a Bitcoin address. It may not be the right one, but at least you have to provide one in order for them to make the buy. They're not going to hold it onto your Bitcoin onto that. So that's the way you want from like others. They hold onto it. They could get rugged, stolen, hacked, whatever. Not Bull Bitcoin. Furthermore, you could buy gift cards. You could pay your bills. You could send money like e-transfer with your Bitcoin. All through Bull Bitcoin, you could buy on-chain, you could buy Lightning when fees are getting higher. They're not high yet, but you could still do that nonetheless. Check them out if you do want to open an account in Canada, in Mexico, in Costa Rica, Argentina, parts of Europe, and I have nowhere else to Am I missing somewhere? I don't
It's
know.
just everywhere the women are beautiful. Bull Bitcoin
Yeah.
is there providing their services. Can't beat it. Is that a coincidence? We should ask the guys there. I'm not sure. I just want to also note, by the way, the only thing the Bull Bitcoin guys hate more than shitcoins is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Do you notice that in the group chat? They actually hate the Toronto Maple Leafs so much.
It's funny that there's such hatred for the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's not like they've had some success.
No,
Right? You're hating a franchise.
Free.
My dad moved to Canada the year that they won the cup. He never saw them win again. Right? You think of how long ago that is.
Long
Anyways,
time.
Bull Bitcoin, use our code below or link below to sign up. If you do that, all buys moving forward will be a little bit cheaper forever.
Yep.
Might as well do that.
Can't beat it. Bitcoin Conference 2025. If you haven't bought a ticket yet, why? It's in a month, 4 weeks from now. I'll be there. Len will not. Some of your other favorites will be there. Punter Jeff will be there. Lawrence Lepard will be there. Francis will be there. Huddle D will be there. He might not even be your favorite. I don't know, but he'll be there anyway. And we're all going to be there talking Bitcoin, getting to know each other, sharing a few drinks, sharing a few laughs. And I think focusing on the mission. I mean, last year we went through a bit of a, wasn't really a lull in price, but certainly not where we are now. And there's going to be a lot of talk, I think, about what should we be doing? You know, are we a political body? Are we a voting bloc? What are we? We've had politicians at the conference before, and this year, having seen the speakers list, it's leaking out slowly, by the way. You guys will be thrilled with some of the stuff that they're doing. No bullshit, all signal, can't beat it. So if you haven't picked up a ticket yet, you can grab one now. The conference agenda is out, Boomer says, which is great. So I'm looking forward to you guys seeing that and commenting in our chat and other places. So let's begin. Housekeeping. I have no idea what's going on Wednesday this week. I'll be on the couch. What are you going to be doing Wednesday this week?
I have an engagement in the evening, so I have nothing to do with CBP. It's already predefined for me. So,
so maybe I'll record a quick turn or something and put it out on Wednesday to get some feedback. I haven't decided if I'm going to record something on Charlie Kirk or not. I want to talk about it tonight, but yeah, a lot of things are being said and done and postulated around his assassination, but we have nothing planned for Wednesday. So I'll think about releasing something. I think I have a few things in the hopper anyways that I've recorded already. So maybe I'll put something out.
well, Boost.
Yeah.
We have first AIBLE, and there's all A.I.B. So Able, I guess.
Yeah, it must be.
What does I don't know what the acronym would stand for. 100 sats. He says, loving the conviction and passion. Joey and Len are speaking with the last couple of ways. You can tell they really love this country. Thank you and God bless. And he does the prayer.
Do you know what someone told me? That the prayer hands are actually high five hands.
Oh, then it's high fiving he's doing.
They look like prayer hands to me. I don't know.
That's
but
what
I appreciate. I appreciate
Yeah.
the comment all the same. And I do think, much like I've talked about Mike Campbell, like really starting to show some teeth about a year and a half ago, I feel like we're going down the same road because at least I won't speak for Len, because I do love this country and I love what it's provided me and my family. And I want my daughter to have an opportunity to grow up in a country like that. And what I see is that opportunity slipping away. And I prefer, especially with the platform, to say things and amplify messages that I think will contribute to making the country better long term, even if there's a little pain along the way. And that's an important thing to remember, I think, if you're speaking to people, especially in a public venue.
Little panel on the way. This is not code for there's another one in the oven, right?
No. What did I
It's
say?
the way it was
What did I
described.
say?
Jeez, do we have another one coming?
I don't have another one in the oven. My wife is not prepared for a second one. My little one just started pulling herself up on everything. So the chaos here has truly begun at my house. Not to mention I've been laid up basically with the ACL surgery, right? Like I'm walking pretty good now, but for about 2 weeks I was basically in a splint unless I was just bending my knee to keep it from completely turning into licorice. So,
and she's 10 months now, right?
10 months. Yeah. She was born in November last year.
Okay, Mo BTC Dick 500 sats, short and sweet. He says, "R.I.P. Charlie."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What a week.
What a week.
Dallas Smith 600 sats. This is a good one, Joey. They're all good ones, by the way. but this one for you more, I think so. It says, get your PAL, that's your firearms license, and reliable pump or semi-automatic shotgun. Otherwise, you're literally defenseless against anyone with a weapon. The dude who stopped the home invasion with a knife got lucky. And I have a friend, I played tennis or golf with him a lot, and I've played tennis with him this past weekend. He is a firearms holder, and I learned something new, Joey, about firearms.
Okay.
2.5 years ago, 2022 October. Since then, nobody could buy a handgun in Canada. Did you know that?
I think
wasn't aware that was.
Yeah, there's some. I don't know if is it nobody? I thought it was some restrictions, but
There are some restrictions like police. Like it's very, very limited. But they stopped that. So the PAL, you could with that, then you could buy like rifle and like what do they call that? Long barrel,
long guns, hunting guns. Yeah.
But then you need the RPAL to get the access to those handguns and stuff. And since October 2022, if you wanted to buy one, you can't. So this guy has a lot of them, and he's like, they're useless. I can't sell them. I can't buy any more. The value is just, to me, that's basically it. So we got into a point where you can't arm yourself with a handgun unless you have to go underground. Unless I got it wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. Paulie's in the chat saying the same
you
thing.
cannot buy or sell handguns anymore.
So yeah, Paulie, I trust Paulie if he says that and you say that. And I think there's something to it. Yeah. I mean, it's incredibly disheartening. Story after story after story. Kids as young as 10 killing other people with weapons, and you, a law-abiding citizen, are told to bow down basically and not do anything. That won't last. I will tell you that will not last.
Jer 5,000 sats.
Bless you, Jer.
And he writes in very simply, pure signal. That's it.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
And last but not least, we have Bod Palmer from the Bugle News.
Rodeo.
40 hours per week. Writes in for 10,000 sats, by the way. Even more simple than the last one. Just writes Signal. That's it. Signal. Like the app.
Yeah.
Like what you got is Signal.
I appreciated those guys coming on last week. That was a fun show. We spoke for about 10 minutes after the show too about some other stuff. But those guys are, sort of humorous by nature, and they are doing some satire there, obviously, but smart. And as always, there's more than just a nugget of truth in jokes and satire. So keep that in mind when you're listening to the Bugle, and you should be listening to the Bugle as part of your 40 hours per week. Doctor recommended. So
yeah, I had a listen to that, and a couple of there's inaccuracies and misconceptions I think we should just address from that episode.
What about your boycott?
No, the boycott is what it is, right? I mean, you were saying that he lives rent-free in my head. I could assure you, Joey, I do not think about anybody unless it appears in front of me.
Did I say that? Did I say that during the show?
But the reality is, I think about somebody like David Bailey, and this is the honest truth. Like, as much as and the WNBA. That's how much I like. The only reason I would think about the WNBA is if it shows up like on my highlight reel, not my highlight, my timeline, or it's talked about in the chat. And it's the exact same thing with Bailey. You know what I've done with him and all his stuff? I've muted everything, and I've done it because I don't want his stuff polluting my timeline. I don't want him to get any benefit from getting another impression. So I just get rid of it, and it's
you don't want to propagate his spam. Is that another way?
I don't need to. And
as long as you don't go the Predator route, Predator, Predators.
And that's when I see it. When he talks about it, when he posts it, then it shows up. But if I don't get it, I don't think about it. Like, I could assure you, like, it's not living rent free. Do not think about the guy. I'm busy enough. I could barely think about the shit I should be doing. Never mind something like this.
True.
This guy's I'll say it. He's a piece of trash.
Oh,
regardless, is. He's a scammer, right? Like, he is. He's not against your opinion. I think he's bad for Bitcoin, and there's a reason why I boycotted it. Man.
Boomer in the chat is saying, I put it on the screen here for people who are listening on audio. Since no one goes to YouTube, I don't know why everyone listens on audio. I know guys who don't even listen to the CBP, but know that Len boycotted his own show because the Bitcoin Magazine guys came on.
Think about that. No, there's
legend.
You know why I boycotted the show?
Did you have a couple of good tennis nights or something? You just needed an excuse? No?
No,
Okay.
man.
Why?
I think, my personal opinion, that the guy is a scammer. The guy
Okay.
is out there to scam people, rare stats, all that bullshit, right? We built a platform here. We
Yeah.
built it from scratch. There was CBP 6 years ago. It just meant that the guys in the States. Now, at least you could say it's something we built. I wouldn't want to bring a scammer on in a platform that we built to have that message brought to the forefront. It's diluting the product, right? It's why don't we just do like crappy JPEGs?
Why don't we start bringing on the people who email the show every week to get their CEO on?
Why don't we do like the what do they call it? The open mouth AI generated,
Yeah.
like why don't we do that? Because there's integrity, there's principle. And that's the reason why I boycotted. It's not because of this or that. That's it. Like the product is what I think it is, and I don't want to see it diluted to have a scammer, somebody that's out there to fucking take your money. How the fuck is one sat more rare than another? They're equally as fucking rare.
I get it. I continue to, my defense of that show is always going to be the same. That he was in the news at that time, and you and I had some disagreements on whether or not, we still do, on whether or not Bitcoin Magazine, I think broadly, has been good or bad for the space. And as well, I think I asked him some difficult questions. The first 15 minutes of that episode, I asked him some tough questions about UTXO, about a handful of other things. And I think it was important because, the other thing I wanted to see, and I'll say it, I don't think I've ever said this before, but I'll say it now. There was clearly some editorial tension at Bitcoin Magazine. I know Mark was the editor-in-chief there for a while, and obviously does not work with them anymore. But you can see what Mark is doing now, right? He's very I don't want to say anti-state, but he's anti.
Mark Goodwin, you mean, right?
Yeah, Goodwin. He's anti-state's the wrong word, but or the wrong phrase, but I'll use it anyway. And there's clearly a difference in opinion between him and Dave, and I thought that would make for good programming too, and I think it did. And I would love to and need to follow up with Mark, because I want to have him on again and just ask him, how do you feel now compared to, I don't know, a year ago, let's say, about Bitcoin Magazine, about what they've done since, about all these things. Be curious what he thinks. Now, by the way, you mentioned there that we're not using clickbait thumbnails, but as you know,
I used the wrong term. Thank you.
Yeah, as you know, I've been experimenting with vidIQ because I think it's fun to do so. And oh my God, they won't let me download the image. This is a sign from God. We're never going to do clickbait here. Should we start talking about something that's actually relevant to the program? It's almost been 20 minutes. I don't know if we should.
I thought that was relevant because it's relevant to the last show. And the last thing I want to point out is that running the node, Joey. And
I know
you say that because it really depends. It doesn't make somebody a Bitcoiner or not Bitcoiner. It just depends where on their journey they are. Somebody new in this space, if they're not running a node, fuck you. They're not a Bitcoiner. They've suffered from the Streisand effect when we're looking at fiat. But but if somebody's been in it for a few years and they choose not to run it, and especially if they're running a show called the Canadian Bitcoiners, then it's it's a question: is that person really a fucking at the beginning of the show we hear that the only thing that's really secure is your self-custody Bitcoin, and even MSTR and stuff is potentially up for grabs. Are those buzzwords or are they just fucking?
I don't know how Dee's laughs managed to find the most difficult thing for me to defend for that soundbite.
I will help you. That's just give me back that fucking computer. I will put Windows on it. It will be the most basic fucking setup, and just you're good to go. All you got to do is just point your Sparrow to that. And you can just all these naysayers, you could tell them to fuck off because then you're running it at that point.
Where do you want to start with Bitcoin news, or do you want to start with Kirk?
No, we'll do the Bitcoin news because I think that we talk a lot about Bitcoin now. We'll just pile it all in and then we'll do the Kirk stuff later. And I guess the first thing it's probably not the biggest news, but it's one I just want to bring up. There's these fake emails that are being thrown around by Blockstream, or at least appear coming from Blockstream, that are floating around. And in the emails, it's talking about you have to do an update to your Jade, the firmware updates required. And so if you're a Jade user out there and you get these emails, just disregard it. And if you're not a Jade user and you get these emails, disregard it as well. I would suggest potentially get a better device for signing your transactions. I'm looking at like a Seed Sign or a Cold Card, for instance. We trashed the Jade Plus not too long ago. I don't know if we trashed the Jade, but I'll trash it if I,
the Jade's it's a fine device, but it's like, you could do better, and it's expensive. I think one of the things we talked about was the price, right? The price is like basically the same as the Cold Card and you get a lot less, usability, features, all that stuff.
And it's coming from the guy Adam Back, that he's the guy running Blockstream. You figured they would be releasing a product that is on par or better than CoinKite and their Cold Card, and their Q. But no, it's just not. It's, in my opinion, it's inferior to the EQ and the Seed Signer and all that shit. I owned a Jade once. I dumped it, but anyways, going back to this email, I don't know how they got these email addresses, but there's email addresses out there that associate that particular email address to a Bitcoin owner, or at least one that has maybe a Jade owner as well. That's kind of concerning, because now you have this going out there and people know this. The $5 renter tax, they're going to be more prevalent. So I look at that. It's like, shit, man. People got these databases on people. You and I are here every week talking about Bitcoin, but you talk about that you don't have anything of your Bitcoin here at your house, and me, I never talk anywhere like where the fuck it is.
Yeah.
So,
I keep one wallet here that I use for like the fantasy league, but that's about it. And
it's only a few 100,000 sats at most.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It's like transitory. I would say that the Adam Back thing and the Jade thing, like, I know this is about Jade security, and yeah, you're right. You should abandon that wallet if you haven't already. But we've talked about Adam Back losing the plot and potentially also being in this like scammer class. I don't know if you saw it today, but Predator got a hold of the pre-IPO list of Nakamoto. You saw this? And Adam Back's on it for almost 10 million shares. He's among the heaviest hitters in the pre-IPO sale. This guy doesn't give a shit about Bitcoin, honestly. I think he's pro core as well, right? Fighting with Mechanic and others, buying shares in Nakamoto, releasing hardware wallets that are inferior at the same price as stuff like Cold Card. And again, like, I just want to say, we have a relationship with Cold Card, but we're not in bed with Cold Card. Like, I use a Cold Card, Len uses a Cold Card. A lot of people listen to the show use a Cold Card, but we've never taken money from them. I don't have to say that. I could take money from any software or hardware wallet, go the Breedlove route where you're sitting on a lawn chair reading a script trying to talk to people about the iCoin wallet or whatever because they pay. And we get offers for shit like that with some frequency. We don't take them up because we don't think it's any better than the Cold Card. And, for guys like Adam Back to be releasing a product that is inferior and then, largely quiet about the security thing on top of that, it's a shame, man. It's a shame. That's a slay your heroes moment for me. The Nakamoto thing really does drive me nuts. So that's a bad one. There's a lot of names on that list, by the way. That's not even on the agenda today, but we could.
That came up just today from Predator.
Yeah, a couple hours ago. Yeah.
Now, it's being asked by Torup, is Ledger better than Jade?
I don't know.
He says, I don't know. Now, that's a good question.
Man, the original Ledgers, I stand by this. The original Ledger Nano S is a fine device. It's a fine device. Like, you could plug that in and set up a key without any interface and do it, offline, right? Whatever offline means, you could do it offline. Now, you still need... No, actually, you don't even need it. You could use Sparrow for it as well. The problem with the newer Ledger devices is this Ledger Cloud Seed, the Recover feature. The wallets have tons of attack surface area because they refuse to just go Bitcoin only, blah, 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 blah. The newer the wallet with those guys, the worse off you are. But I think if you have a Ledger Nano S, we talked about this before. Yeah, you should probably move to something else. But if you don't have anything else or you can't afford anything else, like, don't worry too much about it. It's the newer ones though, like these, like the Stacks or whatever, the giant like passport size thing with the huge touchscreen that's like obviously a Bitcoin wallet. I would stay away from that personally. Yeah. And Boomer's saying it the same thing. Like I really do think the software interface is the problem there.
I think the support for the S was stopped. Yeah, they first sunsetted in 2022.
Maybe
for the Nano S. So the Nano S Plus, I think, is what they're pushing right now, and it's getting support by the folks at Ledger. And so
what's the difference in feature, you know? Do you have the feature list there, or is it like it must be new hardware?
I don't know. We talked about it before. This I black hole this fucking thing. Like obviously,
good
it's not
move.
Something
Good
that,
move.
You know what? Just to answer the question from Torup, to be honest, I'm gonna say it's a coin flip, which is better of the two. But if you have the ability to move to something better, definitely. The reason why I don't like the Ledger, you have to plug it in to a computer to make it work. That's how the data is sent over for
the
signing.
Interface,
I don't like I like an air gap thing. And the Jade does have that, but how do you update the hardware? Sorry, the firmware in that.
I actually just looked at a Jade. I have a Jade, obviously. It's like sitting in a bowl of assorted things there behind the screen. So we're gonna give it to a friend of mine. And when I reset it, it did want to do a hardware update. So it does it OTA through your phone, through Green Wallet. There you go. You might be able to plug it in and do it too. Honestly, I don't know, but
I would like to have the feature of taking a SD card.
Obviously,
I like that. That's the cold card mentality I have. I don't know. Just,
I think you're right about that. Like, I mean, obviously, the air gap is like the sort of premium security model for Bitcoin wallets. Yeah, agreed.
And that's what people should be looking at. The 100% air gap, when it's done properly, when your seeds are generated offline and you're doing the signing of the transaction on an air gap computer, and the computer, if it's clean, you are darn well sure that you're
untouchable. Yeah, you're untouchable.
Yeah, and that's where you want to be at. That's being a sovereign Bitcoiner. And let's just quickly go to the next topic, because we've been at this for almost half an hour. A few more topics to discuss. There was a milestone that was reached with BTC Pay this past week, Namecheap, and they're a company that is similar to Easy DNS, where they sell domains and web hosting.
Inferior,
yes, to Easy DNS. Nonetheless, that's the type of services that they offer. Well, they have done a payment using their very own BTC Pay server, a server which they run and operate by themselves. The payment was approximately $2 million worth of Bitcoin that was done. That looks like somebody may have bought a very popular domain that was on sale, like a domain name like cats.com, or where the fuck it may be. I don't, it's probably not cats, but it's something like that, if you get my drift. But either way, the sale was facilitated through Namecheap's BTC Pay server. And to me, I find this to be fucking cool, because everyone could just send transaction. Like, I could send you Bitcoin if you provide me an address, Joey, but to do it like on a storefront where it generates addresses per invoice, I like that. I would imagine this was done through on-chain. I'm almost positive this was not done through Lightning. BTC Pay gives you the option to use Lightning or on-chain, but a $2 million-ish purchase with Lightning would just simply drain the channels in entirety. So it's not feasible through Lightning. So it's done through on-chain. That's just in a little bit. Anyways, it's good to see that this transaction was done in a way that didn't need any third party. It was done 100% by themselves. Essentially, they are their own bank. This gives lots of power to the merchant if we could show that this could be a medium of exchange, because fees that are going to be going to a bank for anybody that does these type of purchases is non-existent. Waiting for days for settlements, it's non-existent. Shit just works. I love seeing this. Bitcoin is a medium of exchange. That's all I got to say, because next story is going to talk about this more at length, I think.
I want to know the number, honestly. That's what I want to know.
Well, 2 million.
The domain. I want to know the domain.
And you see,
that's the big thing. Like I know we were talking to Mark about it a bit. There's no way to find out. So yeah, I you got to imagine it's one of those one word like banger domains. The question is which one. Not sure. It's great that it's paid in Bitcoin though. I really like that.
I'm trying to see if I could find it.
Nowhere. It's nowhere. Everyone is asking on Twitter. No one seems to have a lead on it.
No, I'm just trying to find it comparable. Anything. Like NFT.com, for instance, was sold for $2 million in 2021.
God, that's a
Angel.com
disastrous
was sold.
investment.
That's terrible. Yeah.
Disastrous.
Angel.com, 2 million in 2021. So those are some comparables. But yeah, so, you know what? Sitting on a domain name is a very lucrative business for some people if you can find the right one. So
Totally.
you know, use our EasyDNS referral code and fucking load up.
Stack
Anyway.
domains. Stack domains.
Yeah. Just do a bunch, right? Because the first purchase is going to be half off. Anyways, so on the topic of using Bitcoin as a medium of exchange, I think it's a good segue to this topic, which I think is the biggest one of the week, which the U.S. government is talking about making it more difficult for people out there that are using mixing services, maybe a little bit more than just that. And this was a report from Rage, and they're saying that digital assets like Bitcoin and, of course, shitcoins are going to get some love from the Patriot Act. And what is at stake here is the using or mixing of Bitcoin. And the government wants to modernize laws as it's trying to capture stuff like Bitcoin in its grasp. And specifically, they're talking about Section 311 of the Patriot Act, and that's to allow the Treasury to ban specific cryptocurrency transactions. And they say the inclusion of a mixer rule as a way to ban mixing services, and also the prohibiting the use of various privacy-preserving behaviors in software, like pooling funds, single-use wallets, like everybody's doing that, splitting transactions, and even delayed transfers. Like this is going to be that's something they wanted to deal with. And
it's everything.
What could happen from all this, right? If they decide to go this and everybody honors this law, well, it could lead to more centralization, right? Because you're going to have more Bitcoin that is going to be handled by certain people, certain companies, the ones that have the blessing of the government. And also it's going to make surveillance easier, right? If they have more data, more information, and if it's the same few people that are dealing with it, this surveillance will be like we've never seen before in Bitcoin. Also, that you have the potential loss of fungibility. Why so? Because the government could impose, they're saying, a 2-year ban on financial institutions handling funds routed through mixers. So if a financial institution were to do that, they get a 2-year ban. The Bitcoin ends up wherever, probably gets flagged, and then it's going to be difficult to mix it or to add it to a wallet that has already transactions that make, you know what, it's this I see, it's going to just be making it more of a headache to use Bitcoin within the confines of the United States. And this will then be copied elsewhere. Europe is already doing their own thing, which is going to be pretty draconian. This is big fucking news, man. Big fucking news if this is reality.
It is reality, number one. And I think there's a tie-in here to the Kirk thing, in that the administration feels emboldened to restrict funding for organizations that it views as terrorist or domestic terrorist adjacent. Antifa comes to mind. Trump saying not 15 minutes before we started the show that he's planning on designating Antifa a terrorist organization. You're in big trouble here, I think. And you know, you and I have had our disagreements over the years about what it is we're supposed to be doing about political engagement in Bitcoin, and whether or not we should be sort of removing ourselves and quarantining with other Bitcoiners, or we should be using our resources and our time to engage with politicians to try and get sensible policy. It's still not a sure thing that any sensible policy will ever be enacted by any government, because at the end of the day, what is this thing? It's a threat. It's a threat. It's a threat to their monetary superiority. It's a threat to their monopoly on violence. It's a threat to everything. You know, police won't work for bad money. And so, you know, you run the risk of losing that, that arm, that capability if you're a government. Public servants won't work for bad money. And so you run the risk of losing your administration arm. And I don't think that people realize how big a deal this is, because it hasn't been widely discussed on Bitcoin Twitter. Instead, we're wasting our time talking about knots and core. And, you know, this is the thing that really should be a uniting call. I think that what you're going to see, though, Len, is this continued expansion of the Patriot Act to meet what they call modern threats. The Patriot Act is, you know, we can talk about Snowden and all this stuff. it borders on criminal. I think it might actually have been designated criminal in some respect by U.S. courts. But the idea that designation or public opinion about this is going to sway a government from, it trying to stop secret transactions, what it views to be secret or harmful transactions, it's just not going to happen. There's other stuff in here too, like banning all cryptocurrency transactions for non-U.S. jurisdictions. Coming back to the States, the thing that you and I do agree on, although we may not agree on the outcome, is this game of whack-a-mole is an impossible one to win outright. You're always going to be a little bit behind what the tech can do. It's open source. And there's too many nodes, stuff like that. But the first time, it's one thing to grab somebody because they're running a mixing service and it's like money laundering or whatever. It's another thing entirely if someone gets nabbed under the Patriot Act for using a single transaction wallet. Like people will stop doing it. And that's when some of the Bitcoin ethos and mission truly dies. I don't know how you fix that. And there's gonna be a lot of people dancing on the grave of private Bitcoin transactions when and if this actually comes to fruition and succeeds. The only thing I can think of is that the government might just not have the wherewithal to actually pull this off at the level of the Fed, like the federal government. I should say, not the Federal Reserve, the federal government. But like I always say, it just takes one high profile case to really neuter the ambition of the rest of the community.
It's going to change your behavior with Bitcoin.
If the U.S. government says, if I was an American and the U.S. government said single use wallets are now going to be viewed as terrorist, like going to be viewed as against the Patriot Act, then yeah, of course it would change my behavior. Yeah. That's the rational outcome.
And that would apply, I'm assuming, to, this is all hypothetical, by the way.
Of course. Yeah.
To a stack that's KYC'd.
Yes.
Something that's KYC freed. And hypothetically, if one has that, do you think that they would be worried or would they still just deal with it?
Yeah, they ought to be. They ought to be worried. Yeah.
Really? KYC free?
There's no such thing as
Why?
truly KYC free.
Explain.
If you're using a bunch of self-funded, let's talk about Shoppers Drug Mart, post offices, right? Whatever. Okay. If there's a real push against single-use wallets, and the Canada Post people decide to give up, I don't know, security footage or whatever from those days, or your bank decides to hand over, okay, well, this guy is taking out $500,000 in cash these days. What was he doing with it? My point, and I honestly do believe you're naive for thinking this is not true or not going to be the case. And I think a lot of Bitcoiners are in your boat. The government doesn't need to prove anything beyond like a reasonable doubt. There is no like, oh, you can't prove that it's mine. If they suspect it's yours, you're done. Your life becomes miserable. It's the process that is the punishment in a lot of these cases.
So the onus is on them to prove it, because that's
incorrect. It's not on them. The onus is on you to prove that it's not, and you can't.
No. Oh, you know what? Here it is. You're a murderer.
Yeah.
You murdered somebody.
Yeah.
You say, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. And I have to prove it. Here's how you murdered it. The person you murdered, how it was done.
Yeah.
And I have to go through the onus to prove you to be something. That's what it is. And for you to say no, that, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's all you got. I have to fucking prove it.
Yeah.
So to say it doesn't mean anything. You have to fucking prove it. Now, different ways one could purchase or accumulate Bitcoin that's KYC free. You could sell a service. You could sell a good. You can mine it.
Yeah.
There's a number of different ways. And Joey, and if you think that those could be like somehow tracked, I got to bridge this off you, buddy, because there's no fucking way. KYC free done properly is KYC free. So in that case, I'm truly of the camp that you could do whatever the fuck you want with it, regardless, hypothetically, of these laws.
This is exactly the point I'm trying to make. That like you keep on saying they have to prove it. It's not a murder case. Like, do you know how the Patriot Act works? there's no requirement for them to ask for surveillance. There's no requirement to them to ask for data information on you. There's
then
no
you're
requirement.
guilty, regardless
There's
if you're innocent or not.
That's correct, sir.
So all it is
And
you're
so
guilty.
my
So
and
then
so my
it doesn't
and so
matter.
my question is, do you want that attention by using a single use wallet? And I think a lot of Bitcoiners, to take a phrase from the kids, don't want that smoke. And the idea that they're gonna give you due process, like, have you heard of like Gitmo? Have you heard of like how many people arrested under the Patriot Act have you seen on trial on like court TV? 0, because they don't go through normal processes. The government, especially in the United States, is not interested in normal processes. They're not interested in any of this stuff. If they designate you a terrorist or they want to teach somebody a lesson or make an example out of you, they'll do it. Of course they'll do it. And like, I do appreciate that there's due process in a lot of other sort of facets of criminal law. And there may also be due process under the Patriot Act, but the government, like, I don't know. We have a fundamental disagreement here on what they have to do to make your life extremely difficult or put you in jail. And to me, it's like they just have to have a suspicion and they'll make sure that it gets done.
And that's it. Then there's nothing I could do, regardless if I have a stack or don't have a stack. I'm guilty as charged.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pay the price as a result of that. And that's fine. So if I can't change the end result, I'm just going to continually do what I do, because nothing I could do will change it. And that's, my fate is sealed. If that's the case, that is,
Okay.
I'm changing nothing. Now the question is, where are people like Dennis Porter? Where are people like Cynthia Lummis?
We need Brad Mills. We need Brad Mills here.
He's the Canadian guy. So he's
Dennis
obviously
Porter,
not going to lobby the American government. But where is the Dennis Porters of the world?
Good question. It's a good question. I mean, Lummis, I think, has been proven.
I don't follow him. He's muted on my account. I can't see what the fuck he's up to. Does he pop up on your feed every so often?
Yeah,
for me,
yeah. I should ask him. Maybe it's time to bring him back on.
Drove me fucking nuts.
Yeah,
that's why
maybe it's time to bring him back on. And like, I see people in the chat saying like I'm tinfoil hatting, or like the CRA can't get, like they can't track your non-KYC stats. Like it's not, if you deal with the CRA, okay, it's like years and years sometimes. I remember when I went to teachers college in the US, it was like years and years of hassle with them about my RESP, about whether or not there was some tax refunds available to me because I went to the States or not. They were asking for money back. I was getting, I still remember this. My dad might remember it too. We got a big check from the CRA as a tax refund. And in the same batch of mail, there was a letter from the CRA asking for about half of that sum back as missed taxes on all this stuff, or like extra taxes on the RESP. I don't want to keep dwelling on this, but I think there's, if you look at Tornado Cash and Samurai and these other mixers, okay, I bet you if you went back in our archives, we had the same discussion. Like, well, you can't tell me that if I'm mixing, it's illegal because you don't know, who's running the coordinators or whatever. Like, they will figure it out, or they will die trying. And because they're not in the business of, like I said, they're not in the business of the appearance of weakness, for sure, more than anything else. They terrorism funding and criminal activity and money laundering, totally. Okay, it happens, whatever. But what they're not in the business of is weakness and looking weak. And so I think, especially in the Bitcoin space, where people have gotten a little too big for their bridges online, someone will get made an example of. And it sucks to say, like, I hope it doesn't happen, but if I was a betting man, that's what I would bet on. And I bet you it happens inside of 3 years, let's say, if this passes in the next year.
So somebody that has a KYC free stack, they accuse them of, or whatever, of having a KYC free. There's no evidence to support that they have it. Just simply broad suspicion, and that person gets put into slammer. Is that really what I'm getting at? Is that the end result here?
I think it's gonna be a little more than broad suspicion. I think it's gonna be like either cash transactions or stuff said on a podcast or a tweet or a Discord chat or whatever.
So what I'm trying to get at, to go back what I said before, when it's KYC free, when it's truly KYC free, then you're not making those transactions those cash transactions. You're not bragging about it on Twitter. You're not bragging about it on a fucking podcast. Mm-hmm. It's simply off the radar. Now, again, somebody could have, we'll go back, the suspicion. They may suspect that you have it. Are you going to go to the slammer just from that suspicion of having and utilizing KYC free Bitcoin? And keep in mind, we're talking
It's a risk.
KYC-free
It's a
Bitcoin.
risk. It's a risk.
It's not a risk. I'm asking, you're going into Slammer? That's within 3 years. That first
I think it's a risk. Yeah.
All right.
I think it's
all
a
right.
risk.
I'll take the no on this poly market. It's not going to happen. If somebody makes mistakes, absolutely. But when somebody makes the proper steps to ensure that it's truly KYC free, good fucking luck.
Do you think they go backwards? I think the big question is, will they go backwards and see one wallet transactions as suspicious? Like, is that a good place to start the surveillance, the monitoring? I don't know.
It can be. It could be a number of different things. It could be activities. It could be who you're hanging around. I'm sure they could log where your cell phone, where you're going and stuff. Like, there's lots of different things they could utilize to help identify if somebody's doing something that's suspicious.
Yeah. I keep on seeing comments in the chat about the CRA. The CRA is not going to do anything. The CRA is going to give names, and some other company will do this, by the way. CRA doesn't have to be competent. They just have to have a list of names. So that's another, I don't think that's a valid argument. The CRA is never going to learn chain analysis, but plenty of other companies claim to know, and there's precedent for using them, whether they're accurate or not.
Where it becomes more easier to do the chain analysis is when stuff is centralized.
Yeah.
Is when this stuff does happen, when you're forced to use a centralized body. And
totally agree.
Then, yeah. But then that's just for the stack that's already been KYC'd. And as long as hypothetically, if somebody has 2 different stacks and they keep them as 2 different stacks and they utilize them like that, then I would imagine that there may be suspicion, but like every Bitcoiner is going to be deemed to be suspicious. Anybody that has, right? So that
everybody's deemed to be suspicious. We're both spending way too much time in our basements talking to each other on the internet. We gotta stop.
Hey, no, we have lots to talk about because the clown world is very clownish this week.
A lot of notable stories. Yeah.
I don't know. It's more so just a few big ones, but I guess we'll do one more before we go to the others. Because we talked about Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. I talked about BTC Pay, and we talked about the U.S. government and the Patriot Act. Now, this next one, the U.S. government looks like they're going to be giving the blessing to Tether because Tether spawned the USAT, and it's a new stable coin, and it's a U.S. only stable coin that is supposed to be 100% compliant with the Genius Lenny Poffel Act. And this means it's going to be backed by liquid assets. That's in order to be compliant with that act. You got to have liquid assets like US dollars, treasuries, and all that shit to cover whatever US AT and DT, or in this case, AT, that's going to be issued. They're hoping to have this scheduled for release sometime this year. And Bo Hines definitely is part of it. He is the former White House Crypto Council Executive Director. So he has connections with the White House, and he's the CEO of this project. And the aim is to be a U.S. regulated stablecoin, and I'm guessing a competitor to USDC. That's the only thing I could consider this is because, did we lose Joey or did we lose me? Ladies and gentlemen on the chat, let me know if it's me. You see? Oh, Joey's coming back. Okay.
Sorry, my mouse has those back and forth clickers on it.
I don't know if I left or you left. Either way, so it looks like this is going to be a contender against USDC. That's the way I look at it because USDC seems to have the blessing of the government until now. Anchorage is one of the shareholders of this new venture, and also Cantor Fitzgerald will be serving as USAT's custodian.
You honestly can't make this shit up. Cantor Fitzgerald, you got these guys in the White House. Bo Hines, 29-year-old wonder kid, appeared on podcasts next to David Sachs, the crypto czar, leaves to work for Tether. They start their own stablecoin. They get sanctioned. They wrap it up in some American LLC with Mallers and these other guys. And by the way, we said this months ago when it happened. They're going to use this U.S. veil to put themselves on the map in America because Tether proper is not able to be used in America, at least at the moment. And by the way, Len, what is this going to turn into? It's going to.
You say a CBDC?
Yeah, it's going to be a controlled currency. Yeah. CBDC maybe I think is starting to become a term that probably isn't accurately representing what we're seeing developed, but I think pragmatically the same. Yeah, what do you think?
Okay, I'll go with that.
We talked about like deputizing American companies to do things government wants to do, but it's at least in theory illegal for them to do it, especially in the States.
You know, I mean, and just a different note, something I
Mhm.
found interesting through all this, and I fucking totally forgot. You know where Tether, the company Tether, their head office, where they're located?
No.
El Salvador.
Hey, really? Eh?
You think
Wow.
they're kicking themselves for making that move? Like, you know what I mean? Like they gotta be looking shit. Should they be moving somewhere else? Anyways, that's just aside from this. I found this move, this USAT release the news in conjunction with the Patriot Act information we were just talking about. I found it to be really interesting. One on its own is interesting. Combined, man,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You're talking centralizing transactions with Bitcoin, well, not centralized, at least trying to.
I agree. I agree, Len. I think you're correct. Yeah.
There's I don't know. It's just I think it's coincidence. I don't think this was meant to be. Like it just I found it fucking interesting nonetheless. But this is fucking big news. I think this USAT stuff, but it's only for the U.S. within the U.S. borders, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious how that's going to work. So if you move it to somebody outside, it cannot be spent outside of United States. I'm guessing, right? Like you could take those keys with you to UK, but you can't spend them there. You can't use an exchange over there to transfer it over to something else. I'm guessing
I'm not
that's the way it's
sure.
going to work.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Is I'm maybe that's how it's going to be. It's like the only way to do a transaction or to have any business accept it, be it a goods or services or an exchange, it's got to be US based. I'm guessing.
There's going to be some rules and regs around it. I think you're right though. I think like to pretend that these are not related. I think it's incorrect. It's not about treasury demand. You know, it's a nice benefit, nice sort of secondary effect, but it's not about that. It's about centralization and control here, I believe. We just lost the Twitter feeds on StreamYard. StreamYard's been acting weird today. Me and Len were having some trouble with it before we started, and now we're having trouble with it again. I can't even see my own Twitter feed in the StreamYard options. So I don't know what happened there, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
You know what? I'm trying to take a look at it. It's slow. I'm trying to see Circle, CRCL.
Yeah.
It went up 7% today. I was expecting this to go down. In the past week, it's gone up. Yeah, it's up over the week too. Like this is funny. I would expect this news would have taken a bite out of Circle, but apparently not.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Doesn't seem like it's a competitor to Circle.
Of course, I think it obviously is. Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, I believe that.
I'm just surprised that the markets didn't react the way it does.
Well,
one more story, or do we cut or quits?
No, let's do one more. I would also note that like USDC, how many stable coins are going to exist on US soil?
Like regulated?
Yeah.
Looks like 2.
I think that's probably one too many. So who's going to take the cake here? I honestly, Len, even though they weren't the first mover in this case, I would not be betting against Tether here. There's only so much demand to go around. Tether's an international name.
Cantor Fitzgerald and Bo Hines.
You know, like they just
aces up the sleeve for them.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably the case. You got guys leaving the administration and going to work there. Like presumably Hines could have chosen any crypto Bitcoin company to work at, and this is what he chose. Like, is that guy really going to hitch his wagon to a losing horse? I doubt it. So to me, it's like pretty obvious. If you're a Circle investor, I'd be thinking twice about that.
He could have went to work for the Swan.
We made him an offer. Wasn't as lucrative, but
I
would like to have him on. Yeah,
like that Swan publicly traded company.
Yeah.
Well, I forget the ticker name for that, but it's just taking a fucking beating.
They all are, but yeah, Swans is especially a bit abysmal. I forget.
No, I think like MSTR has been pretty good.
MSTR is fine. Yeah.
So I think that's been relatively stable. But others, whatever. We'll do one more.
Sure.
Your choice. I'll give you the Nerd Miner, or we could talk about Argo. Your choice.
Argo is a bit of a snooze, but I mean, we could talk about it if you want. Do you care about any of this stuff, like Argo blockchain? It's a name we haven't mentioned Argo blockchain on this show in 3 years.
Yeah, there's a reason we don't talk much about miners in general.
Yeah.
No, there's a reason why I brought it up, and the story itself, you're right, it's dry, but you got to cut through it to get some meat from this. And so Argo is a publicly traded Bitcoin miners. In fact, it's one of the oldest publicly traded Bitcoin miners out there. But it's been going through some rough times for some years, and they're in discussion with a company by name of Growler Mining, and this is a privately held company that is US based, and Argo is a UK based company. So just for a little bit of information there. And to avoid going tits up, Argo is going to be getting Growler to step to the plate, and they're going to be giving them a lifeline to the tune of $7.5 billion as a
Not
loan.
billion, not billion. I don't see it as billion. I see it as million.
Ah.
Like, no, it's nothing.
Well, the way this is what I get is that it's going to be, they need the liquidity immediately to keep everything from working, and the loan is not just a loan; it's going to be transferred to ownership later on, and they're going to be picking up a distressed asset for pennies in the dollar in that case. Right? Like the way I'm looking at this now, the reason
anytime anyone says picking up a distressed asset, my eyebrows go up. Do yours also go up? I feel
this is what
like they should be going up.
So they're going to be getting Growler more equipment and more. They're going to grow their operation at a fraction of the cost that would normally. And not just that, this is the way things are going to be going with these publicly traded Bitcoin miners, and probably even privately ones. You're going to have consolidation. Is having a lot of these smaller ones just doesn't make sense. Hash rate goes up. It's going up significantly. We're at Zetahash now, I think. Zetahash. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Words we can't pronounce. Exactly. I was about to say, that's how you know it's high. Yeah.
The price of Bitcoin has been it's been stable.
What is it? It's about $1.15, $1.14, $1.16, something like that. Yeah. For a
sounds
while now.
right. And so the cost for mining Bitcoin goes up. The returns for mining Bitcoin go down. It's going to be, the hash rate goes up, so the rewards go down. And when you're in a pool, and so it's just, you're going to have more consolidation in this space. And Argo being one of the oldest companies out there, they couldn't do it on their own. You're going to see a lot of this shit moving forward, and for better or for worse, this is what's going to happen. That's why I found this story to be kind of fascinating. Like the Argo story on its own, not so much, but when you pick at it, and this is probably going to be prevalent moving forward. I think that this is going to be a fun narrative to at least play out, right? To see stuff like this happen more.
Do you looking back at our old shows, you used to do the mining updates. Remember, we used to talk a lot. We used to talk a lot about not just miners, but whether or not there would be a lot of mergers and acquisitions in the space. And I think both of us, if you go back to those early days, I bet you we both thought there was going to be more than what we've seen so far. Been through basically 2 bear markets since we started the podcast, and there hasn't been any really huge, at least not reported on, public mining acquisitions, which is weird to me. Like, maybe those companies are more resilient than we gave them credit for. Certainly than I gave them credit for. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, some of them haven't. I thought it would be way more.
Yeah,
and you're right. 7.5 million. I confirmed that, not billion.
Yeah, and we haven't really seen it, right? I haven't really seen all that much of it. So there's an appetite to pick these things up on the cheap, but not really to consolidate. So, I don't know. Interesting. We were wrong about that. We were rarely wrong in the early days about stuff. Like I think the trend, directionally, some of the stuff we were saying, like we're pretty spot on. I think we were good with that. But this one we were wrong on. I wonder who could tell us why.
I think credit was still cheap enough that
maybe
companies could still borrow.
Yeah, but could be right about that.
We're getting to the end of that cheap credit, and
for now, I mean, see what happens. The Fed is this week, right? I think the 15th.
It's 17th.
Or 17th. Yeah,
it's Wednesday.
Yeah, get hype. Live stream. We could live stream it, and then that way we have some content to put out that night. Live reaction, 9 a.m. coffee.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, but if it's in the evening, I can't.
Coffee with Jerome. Whatever.
What time do they normally do it? Is it around?
I think they do it like 1, so we could maybe do it. I'll think about it. I might have physio at 1 o'clock on Wednesday. I don't remember now.
So
what
you
my
do it
schedule
while
is
you're
like.
doing a physio, while they're fucking stretching you out and stuff, and
Raising my leg. This is real physio. This is not, I have muscle pull. This is my one leg is like significantly smaller from being in a cast or splint for 2 weeks. Anyway, let's go to the notable stories.
Mhm.
If you're on audio, hang with us. Or sorry, if you're on video, hang with us. If you're on audio, come back tomorrow for the back half where we discuss all the latest and notable news around the world, specifically Canada, obviously, since this is a Canadian show. So anyway, we'll talk to you soon. Take care of yourselves.
Don't be a cuck.